Our story begins in the National Assembly building in the Republic of Korea. Two individuals were competing for a position, enticing members with promises of assistance to them and the public through various concessions. Jo Jae-ryong, a three-term representative from the Hanaro Party, declared, "Corporate tax cuts. You are draining the last drop from the common people. Why did you reduce the child care budget? How will you face your grandchildren?" Kwak Hyun-woo, a three-term representative from the People First Party, replied, "Don't companies need to survive to secure jobs? Does the opposition also not care about workers? Instead of opposing everything, why don't you offer real solutions?" Jo Jae-ryong retorted, "Amend the Nursing Act. Support the farmers." Kwak Hyun-woo shot back, "Explain your party leader's stance. Address the problem of declining birth rates first." She shouted, "Oh, citizens of this nation." He responded, "Oh, my dear supporters." They both proclaimed in unison, "Give me strength." A senior leader, or the chief judge, in the government building announced, "All right, time for speeches is over. Allow me to reintroduce them." Representative Jo Jae-ryong, 42 years old, the Hanaro Party's secret weapon, the killer of the baby boomer generation. Chao Si-lung politics. Representative Kwak Hyun-woo, 43 years old, the star of the People First Party, the rising star of the realistic and honest ruling party. The session then ended, and all the members left, muttering among themselves. Representative Jo was on fire today, too. That's how the scene actually began. No matter what others say, when she's on our side, she can be relied on. Those from Representative Kwak's party said. Representative Kwak is at his peak these days. Without Representative Kwak, we would have been torn apart by the Hanaro Party today, wouldn't we? As she was leaving, and the members were leaving in front of her, she overheard them saying about her, "Representative Jo is too aggressive. She's not feminine at all. Her husband, who lives with her, must be amazing." Jo Jae-ryong thought, "These fools. Do they think we're still in the Joseon era? Isn't that right, Representative Kwak?" She looked at him and saw he was busy with another member. She decided to leave. He caught up to her and said, "Representative Jo, wait a minute. Wait, let's go together. These two characters are married." Representative Kwak said, "Honey, didn't you hear me? I kept calling you." They left together. Jo Jae-ryong said, "You looked happy when they were praising you. So why did you rush to me now?" Representative Kwak replied, "Were you listening? I know it's all nonsense too. I can't argue with those people. I was just doing some networking." Representative Jo said, "I thought you were on their side, not your husband's side." He playfully asked, "Are you very angry?" She asked, "What's wrong?" He said, "Calm down. I was wrong." Jo Jae-ryong said, "This won't work." Kwak Hyun-woo, "This is why people say you practice politics with your face." She thought to herself, "Another point I gained in my heart today." He asked her, "What are you saying?" She said, "Nothing. Let's go home quickly. I don't like to be late after meetings. Something always happens then." He asked her as they went down the stairs, what could happen right before the elections? But upon reaching the main gate, they found the press waiting for them. The journalists tried to enter the building, saying, "This true? Don't you have anything to say, Representative Kwak?" The two representatives, or the couple, stood motionless, surprised. The press continued to ask questions. "Are you sure you're not involved? Representative Jo, please make a statement." Representative Kwak closed the front door on the press, but they were still asking questions. The journalist said, "Senior members of both parties have been overthrown. Do you two have a plan? You two are being referred to as prominent candidates. Is this true?" Representative Kwak said, "All these journalists. Has something really happened?" He asked Representative Jo, "Do you have any inside information?" She yelled at him, "Would I have any? I don't know what's happening either. Let's go." Suddenly, her phone rang from the Hanaro Party headquarters. Representative Jo answered the phone and said, "We're in big trouble now." The journalists suddenly flocked. He said to her, "Did you see the article we just sent?" She asked, "What article?" She looked at her phone. The article stated, Senior officials from the ruling and opposition parties are involved in illegal dealings and dealings. And this has been broadcast live online. The public prosecution and police are likely to file charges against more than 30 people at once, including the most prominent key candidates. It's not just one or two people. Representative Joe was upset by the news and looked out the window to see the press chasing the rest of the party members. He said, from the party leader to the front runner in the primaries, all the leaders have been eliminated. You don't know anything about this, do you? Representative Joe said, no, absolutely not. What's the situation inside the party now? Should I go there myself? He replied, it's 20 minutes from here to party headquarters. He continued, I'll be honest with you, Representative Joe, you have to make a decision. The primary elections for the presidential nomination. Tomorrow is the day for candidate registration. How have the past 5 years been? Our Hanaro party must win the next election for the country. There are no options. Representative Joe, please become president. According to the information that just arrived, it seems the opposing presidential candidate is Representative Kwak Hyun-woo. If the elections continue this way, it will be the first time in constitutional history that a married couple is nominated simultaneously. You win and become president. You lose and become the first gentleman. Introduction to the first two presidential candidates. Representative Joe, a native of Bangkok City, is strict and extremely intelligent. She does not find leniency, and her tongue is sharp. She has never tasted loss. In fact, she has never tasted it. And she remained this way until she met Kwak Hyun. After a relationship that lasted for half a year, they broke up due to a trivial argument, and they both thought that most of their feelings had been hit, until fate brought them together again, or the parliament building, each in a party opposing the other. But he had never mentioned before that enemies agree when a common danger knocks on their door. Once there was a match between Korea and Japan, and they were drinking some alcohol out of excitement. That day, the boundaries between the loyalists and the opposition disappeared, leaving their souls screaming in the name of the homeland. When he woke up, the match had ended, with both of them scoring an own goal. The examination showed that she was pregnant with Kwak's child. Joe says, I will raise this child myself. Kwak says, what do you mean by pretending to be ignorant, when the child is my own? She tells him that she can take care of him alone. I, Ju Jae-ryung, can be a mother and an employee at the same time. Kwak sits on the floor. Council member Jo Kla-pol Jae-ryung says, I'm not someone who runs away to avoid taking responsibility for a mistake I made. Joe says, it's okay. Mr. Kwak Hyun, I promise that our paths will never cross, no matter what. What would you do if I said that you would take responsibility for a mistake you made while drunk? Mr. Kwak takes out a ring and tells her, let's get married. I'll take charge. And so the couple in parliament started fighting, as if they were going to rip each other's heads off. At home, their fights keep getting fiercer. After returning from parliament, they arrive home exhausted. Joe says, I received a call moments ago, telling him I'll be back. Being stabbed by someone you trust is beyond imagination. By that, Representative Joe means receiving bribes. Kwak says to her, you are right. But two spouses are running together. If you win, is it right for the First Lady to belong to an opposition party? MP Joe says you hint at your victory, and the result is a foregone conclusion. Stop preparing in advance. I will not withdraw. I also ran in the primaries, and I intended to run from the beginning. If one of us has to withdraw, let it be you. MP Kawakib says, why are you suddenly changing the subject? Why do I have to be the one to withdraw? Representative Joe says to her husband, because you suggested that both of us running for president is not a good fight. That's why I told you to be the one to withdraw if one of us has to. Let's get to know MP Kwak Hyun, a citizen of Bisan from a modest, almost middle-class family, a graduate of the Faculty of Law, from a prestigious university with a full scholarship. He took the path of prosecution directly, a dragon emerging from the swamp. Representative Ju says to her husband, Representative Kwak, but I precede you politically, and my career is the best. representative in parliament for 3 terms. Former mayor of Bongkyun, Lee Kwak, is an independent who lost. Then he served 2 terms within the Wasat Umma party, a total of 3 terms in parliament. Joe says, "So leave. If you don't want to confront me, use your specialty and open a law office. You prefer to be a housewife." We moved to the party headquarters. Representative Joe says that Representative Kwak Hyen seems to be submitting his candidacy file soon. One of the members asks her, "Really? Doesn't he mind fighting for her election against his wife?" MP Joe says yes. It might even get hot if you were the competitor. Don't you think one of the members should ask her? "What about you, MP Joe?" Representative Ju answers, "For me, it would be great if Kwak Hyen was an invincible enemy." 6. It will only be me that the time has come to make the decision. If your anxiety is gone, then our party, he will undoubtedly seize power this time. What I hate most is losing. Candidate registration begins. In the news, channels are talking about them. On one satellite channel, journalists at the National Assembly say they created animosity, but at home, they were happy with their lives. One of them says, "If you say this is a kind of work couple situation," and the response is, "Work couples? You mean both parties cooperate and make people look foolish?" Mr. Kwak appears at the headquarters of the People First Party, trying to turn off the TV. He says, "It's already chaotic enough. Who turned that on?" A bald man, seemingly holding a position in the party, asks Representative Kwak, "Did something happen with your wife?" Representative Kwak replies, "Is it that obvious? Well, this has never happened before. A married couple running for president from different parties. What a coincidence." He is asked, "So you won't run?" Silence falls over the room, and all the staff look at him silently, waiting for his answer. But he reassures them and tells the short, bald man, "What are you talking about? Of course, I'll run." Happiness fills all the staff at their representative, Mr. Kwak's decision to run. The bald man says, "Okay, then candidate registration will begin soon. Take this and prepare well." News in the newspapers. Primary election procedures based only on pros and cons. The presidential race officially begins between Representative Kwak Hyen and Representative Hanaro Ju-jae. An unprecedented situation casts its shadow on the primaries. Both parties are making urgent decisions regarding candidates amidst public anticipation of reactions. At the election headquarters, candidate registration for the presidential election lasts for 2 days and begins 24 days before Election Day. Applications must be submitted in writing to the National Election Commission. Candidates must be over 40 years old on Election Day, and candidate registration forms, recommendation letters, various tax payment reports, and other documents must be submitted. In addition to depositing 300 million, since they are a married couple, the total amount is 600 million. Outside, there are people demonstrating and holding signs that read, "Reduce prices of basic goods." Some lift the abortion ban, and on some signs, "Strict investigation of repeated sex crimes using deepfake technology." On the opposite side, there are people holding signs that read, "Fetuses are also life," and on another sign, "Remove corrupt officials." After the relevant regional election committee reviews the submitted documents and candidate qualifications, applicants officially acquire the status of presidential candidate. Number 1, Ju-jae, 42 years old. Hanaro Part. Number 2, Kwak Hyen, 43 years old. People First Party. After completing candidate registration in the early morning, a press conference for the presidential candidacy is held in the afternoon, followed by attendance at party meetings to form election campaign teams. One of the members says, "Oh my God, it's Representative Ju. Although you got this opportunity because of the way events unfolded, I always believed that Representative Ju-jae is the talent that will bring glory to our party." She leaves, saying, "That stubborn old man, who was always angry after receiving reports about the registration of candidates from outside Parliament and independent candidates, After hard work and reviewing reports from both sides, Representative Quack and Representative Jew, each in their party and headquarters, and after consulting on all procedures with their private teams, leave their workplaces and meet in their car. They are completely exhausted. Upon arriving home, Representative Jew says, 26 people in total. Representative Quack asks, why are there so many? Representative Jew replies, they all rushed to register, thinking this was their chance. There's still one day left, so more will come tomorrow. Although I don't know how many of them will remain until election day. They must see it as worth trying. We couldn't even register as preliminary candidates. 240 days before election day, one can register as a preliminary candidate. Preliminary candidate registration allows for election campaigns before the official election period. But there are risks too. They arrive at the house gate. Representative Jew says, it's important. So I'll say it again. Our personal relationship and the elections are completely separate. Home is home, and the campaign is the campaign. After that, they enter their home. However, even for these two, who are in a continuous war, there was one place where they had to maintain an absolute truce. As they enter, a girl appears and says to them, Mom, Dad, Representative Quack and Jew are happy to see her. The girl's name is Sai. She goes to her mother. The mother hugs her and asks, are you okay? She goes to her father, Quack. He says to her, our princess, didn't you miss your dad? Jew says, being a citizen in a democratic society is right. Our little angel. An old man appears from the balcony upstairs and tells them, you're embarrassing the neighbors. Stop it and come in to eat. Ju Kwang Chun, Jae Ryon's father, it's not like you're fighting between Yonsei and Korea University. Why are you fighting over the child's name? The grandfather asks, so, are you planning to go all the way? They reply, yes, of course. We will continue. The grandfather says, these two reckless youngsters, you didn't tell me. You made me discover this big news from TV. They say, we also found out that day. The grandfather says, make sure this doesn't negatively affect the child. A lot has happened, so even if neither of you succeeds, you are still young, so don't be too disappointed. Representative Jew says, Dad, don't worry, know what I'm doing. We both became candidates because we are competent. Of course, elections are unpredictable, but this is not our first time in this field. After that, she and a group of photographers prepare her for an election advertisement. She asks the photographer, why did you ask me to do such a ballet pose? He tells her, digital poses can also be incorporated. Representative Jew is annoyed and thinks to herself, is this preparation for the election? She says to the director, please cooperate. This is the first big event in years. Consider it an opportunity to bring joy to people. Representative Quack appears in farmer's clothes, carrying an axe. Representative Jew looks at him and can't hold back her laughter. She laughs at him, and he blushes. A woman asks Representative Jew to go with her to touch up her makeup a little. The director goes to Representative Quack and gives him an envelope. Representative Quack asks, what are you doing? The director says, don't pretend you don't know. We all know you're the pre-selected candidate. While candidate Quack will be the winner, right? Quack thinks to himself, the president.